Oh, goody. It's the funny episode of the season. These are always a joy. Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I don't even remember what they called this one. Episode 4. No, episode 3. Episode 3, because I just saw episode 2, and episode 2 was really good. This was not as painful as I thought it would be. Don't get me wrong, it's not good. I didn't like it. But this did not hurt nearly as much as I thought it would, given, the setup. The setup being that all these wound up people are going to go onto a planet where just the atmosphere alone makes them intoxicated. So you're just setting up for wacky hijinks. And I really hate when this show tries to do wacky hijinks. So I think in a way what helped was that everybody was in the same boat. I think a aspect of the kind of cringe comedy that really, really gets to me is knowing that someone's going to be deeply embarrassed later, or there are people around who are embarrassed on their behalf. It helped for the vast majority of this episode, everybody was a mess. Like, Ortega kind of had it together, but she obviously knew that this, she didn't have time to be embarrassed of or for anybody. She was too busy trying to solve a problem. And they'll be embarrassed later when they find out what they did, but everyone will be equally embarrassed, so nobody's really at a disadvantage. It was only when they got back on the Enterprise and the negotiations started, and I checked the time code, I'm like, what do you mean there's 11 more minutes? That stuff, like watching Pike wing it drunkenly in front of these people, that was the stuff where I had my, oh God, I want to just shrink and disappear and not have to watch this. Stuff like that. And they set up a little game of telephone. Thankfully, they didn't make us watch that whole thing play out. But I think up until that last 10 minutes, the cringe was not as cringy as I expected the cringe to be. And I've said cringe often enough, the word's starting to sound weird to me. Cringe. So, again, I'm not saying it's good. Honestly, my big issue with it is this kind of exemplifies, I don't even want to say a problem with Star Trek, a problem with a lot of seasons of television these days, especially things with shorter seasons, which these days feels like most things. And let me put it this way. I mentioned, I think in just the previous episode, or maybe it was the premiere, I can't remember. It might have been the premiere. I mentioned kind of liking the developing dynamic between Scotty and Ortegas, where Scotty got annoyed at how much she was pushing the ship to its limits, and she got annoyed at him for trying to reel her in. I kind of liked that as a dynamic. So you might think I'd like that being confronted. I actually don't. Because what I wanted was for that to be part of an ongoing dynamic. That just is what they settle into. That there's just this certain amount of tension between them, and that's their normal. I didn't necessarily want them at each other's throats, but I was interested in seeing that as an ongoing thing where it pops up every now and again. One of them just needles the other, and that's their dynamic. I thought that was going to be interesting. But instead, no, we're going to confront it head on 2 episodes later and make a little arc and learning moment out of it, and now it's going to be gone. Imagine if, in the original Star Trek, instead of having McCoy very constantly sniping at Spock because he kind of doesn't trust the guy, because Bones is a little bit racist, if we're honest about it. Imagine that, instead of that being an ongoing dynamic, it was just 2 episodes. One where they establish it, and then one where they resolve it, and then it was never a thing again, and their interactions were boring as hell. Look, I'm not saying, I'm not one of those people who, is so hung up on the idea that conflict drives everything, because, there's so much forced conflict in so much of our media that I definitely don't need, especially when it feels like there was no need for this to become a big drama point. There's plenty of drama in the situation or whatever. I'm totally on board for, people who just get along, but also, you shouldn't be afraid of that. It's okay if they don't get along. You don't have to either escalate it to the point that it must be dealt with, nor resolve it so that it's not a thing anymore. That actually really irritated me. And as far as the rest of this, like, it's fine. Dave Foley was a good pick for this type of alien. The kind of soft mystery they have of what was the thing that happened, how this whole series of events occur was not fascinating, but it was enough to keep the wheels turning and keep the thing going. Yeah. The actual overall structure of the thing for this type of thing, making these types of jokes that I didn't laugh at, but also didn't hurt. Like, this didn't hurt the way 4.5 Vulcans hurt me to watch. This is, it's not, I was going to say it's fine. It's not fine. Fine would be better than this. It's if this kind of humor works for you, you're going to have a ball. You're going to have a blast. It's fine. If that's you. If you're me and you don't like this kind of humor, you'll be a little bored until the last, quarter of it, and then you'll cringe a bit and be annoyed at the loss of what you thought was going to be an ongoing dynamic. I thought they were going to do a thing, but no, they instead decided to just wrap up the thing so it's no longer a thing. And I guess La'an having this overly violent nature is just gonna be like, that's what they're gonna make a thing out of. And I'm like, I feel like we've done this. I feel like we've done this repeatedly, and not in a way that's building on itself. In a way that's just like, hey, remember? This is a thing with her. I'm like, yes, I remember from last time. And if you had more episodes, I'd be okay with you just kind of reminding me that that's her deal. But again, like the shortened seasons, 10 episodes, do something with it. Do something that isn't the same thing. Because unlike, say, the Scotty and Ortega thing, which could have just become a background element, like La'an potentially being as violent as it keeps being implied that she is, and like maybe somehow innately, that's like a legit problem that needs to be dealt with. That's not just a personality clash. That's like a logistical issue. And that is something to eventually, I hope, be dealt with. That I wouldn't mind them wrapping up and closing off, because otherwise, like, they just keep reminding me, like, it's a thing. It's a thing. And I'm like, you gonna do anything with it? At all? Like, that's a big enough deal that it needs to just decide that it's a thing. Whereas the Scotty and Ortega's thing was a small enough thing, you could have just left it. You could have just left it. Let it be a thing. This show has very poor judgment about what should or shouldn't be an ongoing thing. And now I've said the word thing so many times, that one's starting to sound weird to me. I don't know, man. Like I said, nowhere near as painful as I was expecting it to be, given that I could tell immediately it was going to be a comedy episode. Yeah, whatever. I guess it helped that it looked like the actors were having fun. I couldn't tell if the actors were having fun in 4.5 Vulcans. I guess they were. I was in so much pain that wouldn't have helped. Here, it's whatever. Man, it's whatever. Oh, and the Kirk and Spock thing was kind of cute, I guess. Yeah. There's nothing else to say about this. What'd you think of this one? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. I'll try and catch up and get up to the current episode soon. No promises on that. Don't worry too much about it, though. Like, share, subscribe. That stuff helps me out as well. But don't sweat it. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lupfula, Daphne Matthews, Kay Johnston, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Snark Shark, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Magdalena, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twilord, Tracy Scrabbit, Palba Rabajoggle, Sir Didymus is my favorite, and additionally, from the lower tiers of support, I'd also like to thank Isabel Lovelace, Hey Chica, and Lee Campo. What are you guys doing? Oh my goodness, who's back there? Oh, Worm, why do you do this? Ah!